Oh, hi everyone, this is Christina, and today we're going to talk about how to copy and install an MT4 program and how to set up FT4 to use it. And this video is intended for the first-time user only, because if I've used EA before, you may find the information is very simple. And I have a similar video in the past, but the information is a little bit outdated. It was done before the build 600, so today we're going to just remake this video. So let me start with a file that I'm ready to install. This file, if it's for MT4, and it should have an extension that's either it's EX4 or MQ4. The EX4 is the execution file. Both file is okay if you download it or sent from someone else. Both type of file are okay. If you have paid for a project, at the end of your project, make sure ask your programmer about the MQ4 file, because that one is a source file. Only when you have that file, you can possibly make some changes to this program in the future. So I'm going to start with EX4 file. I just right click and copy. There's no like installation wizard or anything. It's just a copy and paste procedure. But where you want to copy and paste is very important. Here I have copied it, and then I have several different MT4 instances on my computer, 4 or 5 of them. For example, here's one. So if you wanted to use the same program across multiple MT4 instances, you must copy it to each one of them. I would like you to follow exactly the following procedure to copy your file. So first, you need to open that that MT4 instance you want to copy to. For example, it's this one. And now here is something we call Navigator. You can access that through this button. And then you see here, MT4 has 3 different types of programs. One is called Indicator, and another type is called Expert Advisors. Another type is called Scripts. These 3 different types intended for different things. First of all, a script is usually a simpler type of program. It only does one thing on the chart and then it will exit. So you will not see a script. Typically, you will not see a script on chart for a long period of time, although in some rare cases, some programmer will code a script that can actually stay on chart for a long time. But in most cases, script is intended to do something once and then exit the chart. So usually it's a simple task. For example, let me if there's something, for example, here this. To execute this program, you drag this program on a chart, set up some settings, and click OK. Usually this program just does one thing and exit. In this case, this program just record one line. What's going on? In this case, this program just record one line on chart and just shows the current spread. That's it. This is what a script looks like usually. Another 2 type of program are more commonly used. One type is called Expert Advisor. The other type is called Indicator. Usually, if your program is a trading system that involves trade execution and trade management, most likely it is coded as an Expert Advisor. Or if your program is just simply intended to supply you some information, for example, a moving average, they will just display something on chart. It will never execute a trade, and that is an indicator. So before you install your file, you need to be very clear what type of program you're about to copy because they need to be in different locations. Okay, in this case, the type of program I'm going to copy is an expert advisor. So here's where I'm going to copy it. Click File and Open Data Folder. So here will be the specific data folder for this MT4. Because if you go to the upper root folder, so here I clearly have, see, I have 4 different MT4s. But this is the one I wanted to copy too. Typically, it's very hard for a user to recognize which one is which. So it's best to access this folder from that specific MT4 itself. So open that folder. And now along all of these folders, and here is a folder you want to copy it to. Other folder has other purposes, but here is where MQ4 program is copied to. And now this is why I want you to make sure you know the type of program you're copying. Because for expert advisors, you need to copy the file under this. For indicators, here's where you copy to. For script, here's where you copy to. In this case, obviously, I'm going to do this. And inside, you can directly copy it to the root folder, paste. Then it's here. Of course, if you're like me, you have a lot of EAs in your MT4, you can make subfolders out of it. But in this case, we're just copying it directly into here. And then you can you can close this. Now, before you can use, so right now that program has not show up here. Before you can use that, you need to close this MT4 and restart that again. Oh, okay. So now this is something I was intended to say later on, but now we have an excellent opportunity to explain this. You see here, just now, I actually has closed MT4 with one of my EA actually on chart. See here, I have an EA on chart was running and I shut the MT4 down completely. So that was something I definitely do not advise anyone to do, because once you do that, next time you restart your MT4, this EA will automatically restart it, and without you even choose to not to. So sometimes the consequence is very scary, because maybe this EA will immediately open a trade depending on the EA logic. In this case, you can see here, this EA automatically intended trade. There's no time for me to choose not to do it. So one thing, when you use EA, because EA is a serious program, it involves order open and close. It's not like an indicator. It's completely fine if you shut your MT4 down with indicator on chart, but it's typically not a good idea to shut your MT4 down with the EA on chart, because sometimes you will get this kind of result. That's not intended, okay? So now, once you restart it, you will see that program will be under the expert folder here. This is the one. This is one I'm copying. At this point, in theory, you can start using it. But before you use MT4, and here, you must at least do your setting once. Options. And options here, there's a lot of options to set up, but what I want you to do is under this Expert Advisor tab. And here we have a few settings. What is important is here, you must check Allow Automated Trading. Okay, if you do not check this, okay, the consequence would be if I attach this EA on chart, but you will see this is not a smiley face. When you see a face like that, then your EA is not working, even that is already on chart. So that means I have not set it up correctly. So I'm going to remove the expert advisor on chart. So let me do the setting first. So I must allow automated trading. And here are 3 different options. Typically, we want to check the first 2. The third one, it will be too much hassle if you check this. Then you will have to frequently get into this and to change this. Typically, we don't check this one. Okay, so check this, check this, check this. And this one, typically, I would like you to check this. And this one as well. Just do exactly like I did. And then click OK. From this point, then you can use your EA. And then you will see here, there's a smiley face. That means your setting at least it's allow EA to run. Okay, so to remove the EA from the chart, you can just close this chart altogether. Or you right click and click remove the EA, okay? And obviously to use the EA, then you just need to drag the EA on chart. And here, generally, this is not a very good example here because it doesn't have any input. Let me choose another. Let me choose another EA here. Usually a EA have 4 tabs, right? First is about, it will show you some information. And then common here, it will give you some choices like to override some settings on the individual EA basis. For example, you can choose allow live trading true or false here. But I never understand. But typically, you don't want to do that. The purpose of using EA is to allow live trading. Allow live trading, it doesn't mean this is a live account. This can be a demo account, okay? And also, maybe in the MT4, you set allow DLL imports, but here you can override that and say do not allow. Okay, but typically this whole tab, you should not change anything, especially the long and short, only long and short. Although MT4 give you this option to do only long or only short, it is best if you can, if it's possible, to code the only long and only short option directly inside your EA rather than choose it from here. Here is the most important tab. This is called inputs or external parameters. And here are the places you set all your parameters. So for EA, it's actually coded that there are certain parameters you can actually change for each run without change the code itself. For example, this time I could run this EA with order take profit of 50 pips. Next time, you can run this EA with take profit of 40 pips. You do not have to change the source code, only needs to change those so-called inputs. Sometimes a EA can have a lot of inputs. You can save your settings by clicking this. See, here is the same save button, and you can set a file. Let's just test save. This file will be a set file. Next time, for example, let me just change one figure. Let's change risk ratio to be true, and I hit save. I save a .set. Okay. Next time, I restart the EA. Obviously, default is 5, but if I click load test, then it becomes 2. So this is a way to save your combination of settings. This is extremely useful when you're EA or indicator have a lot of settings. This is also useful if you need to communicate with your programmer. You could say, today I'm running this EA with this setting and it behave in a certain way and I have a question about it. Often than not, you need to send your programmer your settings, and this is a way to send your settings rather than take a screenshot of your settings. Okay, so here's the external input. Once you set everything, click OK, then your EA will start running. Typically, a EA, when it starts running, it doesn't show anything on chart, and the only indication you have, it would be here is your EA name and a smiley face. Okay, there are a few differences between expert advisors and indicators. The one major differences is indicators. You can have multiple indicators on chart. Or in this case, I don't have any, but you can have multiple indicators on chart. But for EA, each chart can only accommodate one EA. Okay, so once I'm using another EA, I drag another EA on chart, for example, like this, you must exit your previous one. See, this EA doesn't have any external inputs. The reason is this EA, everything is set. Everything is set on the panel. This is another different type of EA. Okay. What else? Okay. There's a few. From this point, you can actually already execute the EA already, but there's a few points I want to stress, especially when you're using an EA, because the EA involves order execution. So you need to be more careful than using indicators, especially on the timing. You want to restart the EA. Typically, it depending on the EA logic. Sometimes restarting the EA is a serious action. So when you're operating the EA, especially when this EA currently have some orders under execution, a general rule is that you need to leave this EA alone and do not interfere it. Definitely do not want to shut the EA down, meaning remove it from the chart or shut the MT4 completely down. That's a general rule. So because when you shut it down, when you restart, there might be some consequences, like what I showed before. So we need to be clear under what situation EA is shut down or restarted. Okay, let me use one simple example. So here, every time you bring up the external input tab, regardless if you have changed. So for example, I click OK. This EA is running. And then next time, if you select the properties, if I bring up the property panel, regardless if I change anything, any values or not, as soon as you click OK, this EA is considered to be restarted. Because it's possible you change your inputs, then EA must be restarted and to take all the new settings. Okay, so if you bring up this tab, if your purpose is just to take a look at your input, you need to click cancel. In this case, your EA is continuously running without restarting. Okay, but once I click OK, then my EA is restarted. And one of the tab that is very important when you execute EA is this expert tab. Here it documented everything your program has done. See here, it just shows you your EA just being initialized. This is one situation you can restart the EA. Another situation you restart the EA, a lot of people unintentionally restart the EA. It's by switching the time frame. You can see here. For this EA, every time it restart, it send out the alert here. So I change my time frame, then it send an alert, meaning my EA is restarted. So you may not want to do this. You do not want to do this unless you know exactly the consequence is. Okay, that's the second thing you can restart the EA. The third thing people unintentionally restart the EA is to shut the MT4 down completely with the EA on chart. I already described that that's something that's you should not do. You should try very hard, avoid doing that. Okay, so those three things I want you to pay attention not to do. So once again, the general rule when you're using EA is when the EA is on chart doing its thing, leave it alone. You can restart the EA, use a different setting or something when EA do not have any order under management at that time. But sometimes there's situation we must restart the EA. So when you design a system, when you design your system, you should design certain rules to tell your programmer if under certain situations the EA is restarted, what the EA should behave. This is something not obvious. Okay, if you don't have specific rules, sometimes it might behave in a way that it's not intended. So you need to have specific rules to define what the EA should do in case it's restarted with the existing orders. Okay, I think this is about it. And a lot of times programmers code some certain alerts or certain messages that should be put under expert advisors. If you go back to this history, you may have some hints about what the EA has done or has not done. So here it will be showing you some information. It may be useful. And that's it. And here it's we just to give you some information on how to use the EA for the first time. This is definitely not enough for you to be an experienced user. You need to have enough knowledge about how to navigate MT4, how to use MT4. Obviously, enough knowledge about trading Forex. All these are different topics. So if you have never used the EA before, or if you have never tested a specific EA before, you probably should at least use it live for a month before you can trade it live. Okay, thanks.